Lots happening, ladies and gentlemen, all between. Of course, I played the wrong intro. No worries. But hey, like Ozzy, I'm also aging. What's up, Fred?
How you doing, V? So I was going to ask you, we are Metal Monday, right?
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. All right,
Let's
hold
call
on,
it Metal
fans.
Monday.
Hold on. All
Much
right, all
gooder.
our
Much
viewers with
gooder.
OCD, we are ready to proceed.
All
What's up,
right.
buddy?
Well, we get through that little glitch, but today we have a special edition of Monday Metal. First of all, it's on a Tuesday, and we are live. And second of all, we're not going to be reacting to the heavy metal video like we normally do. Instead, we have a special guest, Joe Miller. Joe attended in person the concert event of the century, Back to the Beginning. And unless you've been living under a rock, you all know on July 5th in Birmingham, England, we had Ozzy and Sabbath perform together for the very last time ever. The event also included heavyweights from the metal world and raised over $190 million for charity. Joe is also creator, writer, and interviewer for his webzine page, Defenders of the Faith, since 2020. And he is the lead singer and keyboardist of his Chicago-based Rush tribute band Dreamline, and we'll talk about those projects as well. But first, we're going to get Joe on, and we're going to get his bird's eye review and thoughts on Back to the Beginning. So, Joe, there he is.
What's up, dude?
Hello, Joe.
How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks
This
so
Thank you
much
so much
for
for having me on.
Absolutely. This
thanks
is
for
a
taking
great
some time
picture,
out.
man.
Yeah.
That says it all. Look at the eyes. Yeah. That is great, man.
That was your way on in, right? Weighing in, going into the
Yeah,
show.
that was my way on in. Shout out to my boy AP Gonzalez with Pressure Crew Printing. He created that shirt for me, custom, wore it to the show. And yeah, those are the eyes of someone who was basically at that point on like 36 hours of no sleep. Flew in, flew in the day before to flew in Ireland to Birmingham, and then got to Birmingham. And I guess that's a lie. I took about an hour or so nap, but I was so wired and hyped that
Oh,
Right.
I don't blame you.
you can't sleep, man. You know,
I
you just
don't blame you.
Welcome to Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to say the question I got asked right off the bat is when they made the announcement that the tickets were going on sale, they sold out in like 20 minutes under something crazy like that. So, what's the logistics? How did you snag tickets, man?
6 minutes.
So the answer to that question is I didn't. I have to give a big shout out to my childhood friend, Catherine. I've been friends with her since we were like in first or second grade, basically grew up together. And when this show got announced, we were immediately on the horn with each other, and we're serious about it because she knew obviously I was, because, you know, I am the saddest guy in our
Her
neighborhood.
name Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine.
This is for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes. Big horns up. Big horns up for Catherine Taden. And we made a deal. We said when the pre-sale went live, that we were going to go on at 4 a.m, 10 a.m. their time when the tickets were on sale. And we were both going to try to get tickets. And whoever got the tickets, like, we were just going to get them. Like, we were both going to try. So at least we had a chance. One of us had a chance at getting it. So I went on and, the story of my life. I go on, I have 2 VIP tickets, and I'm about to check out, and Ticketmaster bounces me out. And I try again, and they bounce me out, and I try again. I try 10 times, and they say, you've tried too many times, you're back in the queue. And there was like 80,000 something people in front of me. And I'm freaking out right now.
Right.
And I'm on the phone with Catherine, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to get these tickets. And she says to me, just without hesitation, she's like, I got them. I'm like, wait, you mean like they're in your cart? And she's like, no, I got them. I was able to get the tickets. Shout out to whatever VPN or crazy thing she uses that she was able to get through. Shout out Rudy right there. But she got the tickets, and I Zelled her, obviously, for my half. But she got the tickets right when they came out. And it's a good thing she did, because all the subsequent sales, the pre-sales and the eventual general on sale, as I'm sure you two know, was a complete disaster. I think the final number when it came time for the general public on sale, I think there were 2.5 million people who tried for tickets.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So getting a ticket to this thing and just the build up to it in the months leading up to the show, it was like heavy metal Willy Wonka. It was like having the golden ticket. And everybody wanted it, but it was mine, I was going to experience this. So, yeah, the process in and of itself, Fred, was quite tedious. But again, as the Beatles said, got by with a little help from my friends for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. I had a
That's
friend of
awesome.
mine that you probably know, a mutual friend of ours from the Arcata Theater, and she had called me up and said, "We're working on getting tickets to that show. We're working on getting a skybox. Are you interested?" And my first thought was, "Hell yeah!" But then I started doing the logistics of we're going out of the country, my wife and I, like a month later, and the cost and all that. You go, oh God, how do I say no to this? But I had to unfortunately say no, and they wound up not going. But I thought, could you imagine being at that show in the skybox? That would have been unbelievable.
That's unreal.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
So, when did you first discover Black Sabbath or Ozzy? Because I was more into Dio with Black Sabbath, Dio, and then Ozzy solo, because Black Sabbath was my older siblings' music, basically.
Sure.
So
Sure.
how did you come up?
So my initial discovery of Sabbath and kind of metal as a whole, at least consciously, I feel like growing up, I probably heard Crazy Train and Iron Man and just, songs like that. And it was whatever classic rock background music. Sure. But it was when I was 9 years old. It was the summer of 2008. And funny enough, we'll talk about Rush later, but like Rush was the first band I heard that to my ear, like I grew up, like my mom, showed me the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Who and like all those Cream, all those classic rock bands, Queen. And I was already a fan of all those bands, but Rush was the first band I heard, and it was Farewell to Kings, the album. Rush was the first band I heard where I was like, oh wow, this is a little, in my little head at 9 years old, I was like, this must be what they call heavy metal. Like this is heavier. So I remember speaking with my dad, and
Go ahead.
I remember speaking with my dad, and I was like, oh, I discovered this band Rush, there's like the craziest thing I ever heard. And my dad's like, well, they were my favorite band growing up. I'm like, really? And you haven't showed them to me thus far? What's the deal, dude? So that whole summer he was showing me Rush, and he was like, well, if you like Rush, you'll probably like
my God.
Ozzy
Osbourne just fucking died.
No.
Seriously?
No.
Someone just sent me a text. Someone just sent me a message. Newsweek, heavy metal icon Osbourne dead at 76, 11 minutes ago.
Oh, no.
Shut up.
NBC New York, heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne dies at 76.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
My goodness. Wow.
Oh, my God.
That's unbelievable. Looking to see if I see anything here.
Ozzy, I am so glad you got that fucking show.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing, man.
Oh my God, Ozzy Osbourne dead at 77 years old.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God. Fuck, I was not expecting this.
No. Let's take a minute on this one, guys. Ooh.
I'm sorry.
No,
don't be.
We're fucking lifelong fans, man. He's a huge part of our fucking life.
Oh my God. I can't believe this is happening live. Here you go, people. My girlfriend says I never cry. Here you go. Oh my God.
Oh, you talk about an icon. I mean,
oh my God, Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, are we gonna make it through this show? I think we might have to for Oz now.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
making it.
I don't know. Yeah, now we have to do this. We're doing this for Ozzy. We're doing this. Oh my God. I'm waiting for my phone to start going off.
Wow. Seven years old.
Wow.
Rest in power.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right, hold on. Sorry about that. Wow. How weird is this? We started the podcast. We had to do a different link, whatever. No big deal. Then I didn't have my coffee ready, so we're dicking around for a few minutes. We delayed 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when you found out about Ozzy dying, that was 11 minutes prior. So did we just pause a little bit to let Ozzy leave the stage? That is so weird. We never do a live stream on Tuesday of Monday Metal. And by chance, we get to send Ozzy off together. That's wow.
I'm at a loss.
Wow, this turned into a whole different show. Like,
yeah,
holy shit!
It went from this celebration.
Well, we're still celebrating now.
Yeah, we still, but now it's like I said, to put a different twist on it. I think we've talked about this forever. I was 14, and I was listening to the Beach Boys and the Crying Shames and the Buckinghams, and somebody introduced me to Black Sabbath, and that just turned me into a complete metalhead, and I never looked back. And it was Sabbath that got me into metal, and I'm fortunate enough to have seen Ozzy with Sabbath, I think 3, maybe 4 times, and as a solo artist, maybe about the same. So I was very fortunate to have seen Ozzy probably 8 times on stage, and he never, ever disappointed. He always did the "we fucking love you all," and
I love you all.
Just amazing, larger than life figure, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. So I guess add to that and to finish answering your question, since we got interrupted mid-answer, after Rush, my dad said, well, if you like Rush, you'll probably like these 2 bands. And those 2 bands were Judas Priest and Black Sabbath. And my dad played Stained Class for me from Priest, and he played Paranoid from Sabbath and the albums. And that was it. That was the beginning of my metal journey at the age of 9. Here we are now. And here we are now, and it just feels like my whole life is kind of flashing in front of me right now. It's a trip.
Unbelievable.
That's going to rank right up there when I heard Lennon passed away on that Monday night on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And when I heard Eddie passed, I mean, I was a humongous Eddie Van Halen fan, and he was sick. He passed.
This is a marked moment. So we have us 3 have a special kind of link now. That literally we're discussing Ozzy, and he dies while we're on a fucking live stream talking about his last show. I had said to Fred, I said, dude, I hope Ozzy dies on stage. After he says goodbye, he just drops dead, because that's what he wanted. I wanted what Ozzy wanted. So I'm so happy he got his last fucking show. He literally raised the most amount of money, $190 million so far. The largest musical event, the largest musical donation, bigger than Farm Aid. Are you crazy? I mean, and what he's done that people haven't seen yet, he's brought back the entire genre in a huge way, because now everyone knows the amount of money it can generate, the attention it can grab, and the money it'll bring in. Now, Ozzy passes away, and he gives this whole gift, being the godfather of metal. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the best way to put it, the godfather of metal. I mean, you think about how Sabbath came together. They hated Ozzy, and he just happened to have a sound system, right? And Tony goes, well, fuck, we got to use this guy. And they went from, what were they called, Earth or something like that before they changed their name.
Yeah,
And then when
they
that
were-
album came out,
Yeah.
to start that album out with the bells and the rain coming down, and then they go right into Sabbath,
Yeah.
which brings up a quick question, Joe. Nobody covered the song Black Sabbath at the show, which I was kind of surprised. Um, so of all the bands that were there, and we're talking about over 18 bands, which band do you think could have covered that the best? And that's kind of a tough question, but I'm just surprised no one did that.
So I think the reason why no one did that was because from what I had heard, or what Tony Iommi had kind of let out, he did an interview with Trunk a week or so ago and was talking about this. I think they were planning on doing Black Sabbath, and the reason they didn't was because one, they hit curfew, and I guess curfew at Villa Park is strict no matter what, and I think Ozzy had overdone it by doing the solo set and the Sabbath set back to back.
Right.
At least that was the impression I got. Which band do I think would have done the best job covering it?
Yeah.
I'd say of the bunch, I think Slayer probably could have done a good job at it if they were to do it, because Slayer has just always been so evil sounding and
Right.
diabolical and whatnot. And they did a great cover, I should add, by the way, of Wicked World.
Yeah.
That was one of the better covers of the day. But I think if there was a band who would have done Black Sabbath, I think Slayer could have done it justice. But I was surprised as well, Fred. That was one song that I thought would have been touched on in some capacity during that day.
But you might be right. Maybe Sabbath was going to play it, and they just ran out of steam or time. Because that's, yeah. And I thought Metallica's selection of Johnny Blade was an interesting selection. They covered it well.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting kind of a deep cut, really.
Yeah, that was for me, that was the best cover of the day. I thought they did an excellent job on it. And sorry, of course, my phone's exploding right now.
Oh yeah, mine is too.
Mine just went off too.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I'll just send a call you later message. But yeah, Metallica doing, well, they did Hole in the Sky, and that was really cool as an opener. And then doing Johnny Blade, that's always been my favorite song on Never Say Die. And I thought they did an incredible job at it. Funny enough, when they did it, what was really odd, I guess, was the section where we were at. We were against the barrier to the side, and my friend Catherine says to me, she's like, there are people who are Sabbath fans and Sabbath nerds, but you're like another level. You're like the Sabbath guy, she jokingly says. So when they were doing Johnny Blade, like, I knew what song they were playing just from Lars hitting the opening drum beat. And I started losing my mind, and everyone's kind of looking at like deer in the headlights or giving me a weird look. I'm like, it's Johnny Blade, people. I'm freaking out.
Right.
I figured at that point in the day, though, it was like, people were on their feet. Maybe people were getting a little tired. They were kind of waiting for Oz to come out. So there was that. But yeah, I thought the best cover of the day, I thought, was Metallica doing Johnny Blade, followed by, I thought, Lamb of God's version of Children of the Grave was a close second. Those are my two standout covers of the day.
Now, what you mentioned about the crowd, it was a long day. The show started at 1 and ended at 10. I mean, it was 9 hours plus people got there early. What did you see from the energy level from the start to the finish? Did you see it start to grow, or was it pretty much the same throughout?
Yeah. So, my girlfriend keeps just spam calling me right now. I have to like.
Hey, if she wants to come on, send her a link.
Put her on, yeah. Bring her on.
If she, hold on a second.
I want to
I'm getting them too.
I want to thank Jeff Kornack for letting me know live on air that Ozzy died. Thank you, brother. And a few other people. Alan also text, and he's glad that Alan says, who also, he's a new guy here on the show. He says, wow, man, Ozzy gave his last performance just in time. That's wild. Unbelievable. I got to blast some Masters of Reality and snap the head off a crow.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like we're all a little
So I just
based right
posted
now.
on social media. If anyone wants to talk about it, we're on a live stream, so that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Because
is
I guarantee you, every Sabbath fan out there has an Ozzy moment. Everybody. I mean, or
absolutely.
Ozzy fan, even if you weren't into
Yeah, if you
Ozzy
want to
until
post
he
on your
was.
page, if people want to come hang out, if you want to talk, come on. You
Yeah.
know, we're here. We're
Yeah.
looks like we're the people doing the live stream, and that is the craziest thing. How crazy is that?
Yeah, this
That's
takes the cake, I think.
yeah. Like even Alice is, what? Unbelievable.
And you know how many people said when this show was announced, they hope Ozzy lives to do it, and then of course he did.
Right.
And then what? 2 weeks? Not even 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Just a little over.
He's gone, and he sounded great. I mean, from the videos I saw of him, he sounded great. He looked good.
Yeah.
Thank God he went out on such a high note.
Well, there's definitely some AI auto tuning going on there, and also doubling of Zach's voice with Ozzy,
So
and perfectly acceptable. No one cared.
So I should add to that because I did see that going around. Was yes, Zach doubled on "Mama, I'm Coming Home" and perhaps another song.
Yeah.
The auto tune thing, I should add, that was the pitch correction that was added to the live stream. That was not live. He was not using auto tune live, and quite frankly, aside from "Mama, I'm Coming Home," where he got choked up, obviously, and I'll tell you right now, there wasn't a dry eye in the stadium when he did that song.
Oh, for sure. That's why I didn't cover it, because I didn't want to,
Yeah. Aside from that, he sounded like Oz. He sounded, sure, he wasn't hitting the high notes anymore. Maybe it was off key here or there. It didn't matter. He opened his mouth, and it's still Ozzy.
Exactly. Yeah.
The solo set was fantastic, and as far as Sabbath's set, brief as it was, I can't emphasize enough to everyone who wasn't there, which I have to keep in mind is the majority of people. Which is why now I just feel even more blessed, honestly.
Absolutely.
I was already, but God. The Sabbath, man, when they came out and they opened with War Pigs, it was like, this is a song that's 55 years old now. And Iommi came out there and he hit that, those riffs, and it was like cutting through air. It was just so heavy. It was just so heavy. And the band was just so like locked in, and Ozzy, yeah, he was harnessed into his throne. And at one point, if you watch them doing War Pigs, it looks like Ozzy tries to get up, but he can't. They locked him in, obviously, for health reasons and safety reasons. But then he's just bouncing at his throne for the rest of War Pigs. He's bouncing to Bill Ward's beat, and he's having the time of his life. They are just killing it. They sound great, and it's wow. Yeah, this is doing all this live right now. It's intense, but like I said, we're gonna make it through, guys, for sure.
And I noticed Tony smiled on stage, and he usually doesn't. He's usually pretty straight face. I saw him smiling a lot when he was on stage. I think he was enjoying the hell out of this.
That is weird. I just tried texting Rob 3 times. Ozzy died, and it didn't go. And then I went back and then it posted 3 times.
Yeah, and the War Pigs, man.
Who knows? Ozzy might be in the room.
The whole place was singing to that. That was cool when they first started with the War Pigs, and the whole place was just singing along to that song.
The thing that hit me the hardest about watching that whole show was right before Ozzy's solo, because I'm more of an Ozzy solo guy. And everyone knows about this man right here. It was the shot over Ozzy's shoulder. Ozzy, you could see, was like a little nervous. And he just looks over, and Zach's walking in like a warrior. And then he walks 3 steps from Oz and fucking turns, and they fucking go. That to me was that's where I lost it.
Yeah.
you know, because he's coming out, you know, to see, you know, Father Ozzy there, and you know, for the last time walking out to Oz on stage, and I'm surprised that he was able to make it through the show. The fact that he was able to do that many songs,
You know,
is
I'm
amazing.
speaking on behalf of everyone who was there when I say I don't think any of us expected 9 songs.
Right? I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, for the condition he was in, for him to even make it through a song, I think would have been impressive.
Right.
That he powered through 9 songs between solo and Sabbath was incredible. And I should add to that too, just to give some depth, you know, having been there. So, you know, Ozzy did his set, and it was supposed to be a 20-minute break between Sabbath and Ozzy, or Ozzy and Sabbath, I should say.
Yeah.
We were waiting for like 45 minutes. Like, Ozzy definitely overexerted himself, and the way where we were standing to the side, to the barrier on the side, we could see as the stage rotated, Sabbath stuff was already all set up.
Right.
And they were ready to go. And we could see to the back, to the side of the stage, we could see kind of where Ozzy's throne was set up behind the stage. And Sharon and what I'd like to call Ozzy's like pit crew, those guys who were running out, giving him water and like,
Yeah,
you
his
know, wiping
nurses.
him down and making sure he,
Yeah.
right, those guys. They were, Sharon and them were like in a huddle around the throne before they rotated the stage for Sabbath. And clearly, like, we were like, well, they're making sure he's okay to do this, you know?
Right.
And as I said, we waited significantly. It was supposed to be a 20-minute wait. It was about 45 minutes. And then finally, one of the stage guys, you know, gave the signal to rotate the stage. They played the intro video, and they go into War Pigs. But man, yeah, like you said, I think, well, I don't think, I know that he exceeded everybody's expectations in terms of his performance and his, you know, to be that vital, you know, to do those 9 songs.
We've grown up supporting and rooting for Ozzy. Everyone,
Yeah.
that's one thing about Ozzy. Everyone's always rooted for him. And that he didn't, and he never, maybe for the first half of his life, didn't know that everyone was rooting for him. But at the end, I think he got to realize the place he stood in.
Yeah, and I really think the Osbournes TV show humanized him a little bit, right? Because people went, "Oh, he's just a drug addict. He bites the heads off a bit." And then when you see him at home with but when you see him at home with the family, you realize he's just a normal dude. He's a little nuts, but he's a normal dude, and he's not out to harm anybody. You know, he's just putting out great music.
No, you know, you know, I keep on talking about this one thing. Before the show, it was one thing in my mind. Then during the show, it was another thing. It completely transformed. And then thinking about, I was upset for a week. You know, I'm not a huge Sabbath fan. I love Ozzy Osbourne to death and all the guys that played there. But it wasn't about Ozzy. It wasn't about Black Sabbath. What I figured out, it was Dad saying everything's going to be okay. You guys are going to be all right. They legitimized all of us. And we're all going to be okay. And he left with the best, largest family gathering. And that's what separates the metalhead community from any other music genre. That was our family. We were the latchkey kids. We were the kids who were abused, who were in jail, out of jail, juvie, drugs, all types of shit. And who was there for us? And everyone bonded there. And so that was so cool to see as a whole community. Like, we made it.
Yeah.
You know, we're now the elders of what's going on. And maybe you guys, the world, needs to listen to this shit. There's a lot of bullshit going on in the world. Dive into music, man. You can let it out there, and you're not hurting anyone. You're not getting arrested. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what do I know? That's how it was to me. You know, I thought it was a kick-ass thing that they were doing it, and then while it was going on, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Because everyone's showing respect. Everyone was there as a fan, including Ozzy.
Yeah.
Everyone was there as a fan. So the fans are respecting the musicians were geeking out with their friends and the musicians they never get to see and hang out with. And then Ozzy was respecting them and Sabbath respecting them respecting Ozzy. Everyone respect. It was just the coolest. Like, I'd be literally surprised if there were any fights there. And if you did fight at that show, you're a dork, you know. But you know, you could just feel the love, man. Like in the best way. And if people missed a note, who cares? Our guys play live.
That's what live music's all about. That's what it's all about. We've had this discussion how many times, right?
Our guys play their instruments. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's like people always give me shit for liking David Lee Roth. I'm like, hey man, at least you know it's him. 100%. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm to add to that, you know, the spirit and the morale of this show and really the weekend surrounding it. So, you know, I flew in on Friday.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is, you know, in all my years of going to shows and, you know, seeing bands and whatnot, different parts of the country, you know, I've seen, obviously we've been to our arena shows, right? And we've been to festivals, mega festivals where, you know, overtaken by metalheads. And heck, I even went to, you know, the last Psycho Las Vegas a few years ago that Merciful Fate headlined, and you had a whole luxury casino resort overtaken by metalheads. And it was like such a surreal experience. Never in my entire life, and never again will I think I experience a weekend where an entire city, an entire metropolis was overtaken by metalheads. And it was the best feeling in the world because we came from all over.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if, like, you know, I was walking around with my friend Catherine, and there was, I mean, it was just everywhere. Long hair, black shirts, denim and leather, you know, it was just every corner you turned. I've never seen anything like it. And the vibe was just like, it was like the biggest party ever. I remember at one point we were walking downtown near where the mural is now, you know, the wall of sleep, so to speak. And there were these two, you know, headbanger guys, probably around my age, mid-20s, and one was wearing a Bathory shirt and the other was wearing a denim jacket. They just saw me from across the street and they were just like, Ozzy, yeah, you know, and I did it back. And Catherine's like, do you know those two? I'm like, no, I have no idea who the hell they are. I'm never going to talk to them again, but we're all here for the same purpose. And like, that's the thing that separates us from every other, as you said, every other music community, everybody else. That sense of community now over this music. That, and when you think about this event, I guess if I'm going on a little bit of a tangent in the music and in the decades and all the bands, I mean, this was an event 55, 60 years in the making.
Yeah.
This couldn't have happened any other time than July 5th, 2025. It couldn't have. Right. It was a storm of, you know, I mean, who would have
and wow, did the world need it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who would have thought on February 13th, 1970, when that first Sabbath album dropped, that here we are half a century and a change later, and you've got subgenres of subgenres and all these mutations. And, you know, I mean, metal has like a, you know, maybe more subgenres than any other genre you could think of, right?
Right.
And these bands who have made it successful off of doing it too, you know, it's like Metallica sounds nothing like Cannibal Corpse, and Cannibal Corpse sounds nothing like Guns N' Roses, but all these bands have had great levels of success doing their version of what Sabbath started back then. Right. And it's just, I mean, to have been a part of that, and again, in light of now the current circumstances, wow. I mean, that's something else, guys. And it was, I mean, even before today's news, it was still something else. I'm still processing it. Honestly, I did my review, but I'm still processing it.
Right. That just, it just blows my mind that Ozzy's, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad in a way. I'm glad that he didn't have to be without his mistress.
Right.
For long. You know, like his whole thing, everyone knows Everyone was followed Ozzy. Everyone was a fan. Everyone who watches this podcast with Jack and the fam. 6 years. This was the thing. All he had to do is get that thing done, and he could die in his mind. He could go, but he just wanted to give. Do you know how much? I mean, for people who don't know, the amount of pain and struggle and anguish for him to get to that stage. And I won't get into explaining what, all the sprays for his throat. And anyone watching the show, he sounded different. Yes. Why? Because he couldn't breathe correctly. Parkinson's freezes muscles. And you could see that he was struggling to breathe. But a showman is a showman. The show must go on, and he's going to present always. But that spray was enabling him. It was relaxing, his vocal cords and everything, so he could do his job. And what a fine job Papa Ozzy did, for sure.
And when you think that when he left Sabbath, when he was asked to leave, or however you want to put it, and he even said, he goes, I thought my music career was over.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Sharon revives him. And I still remember when I heard that first album was coming out, Blizzard of Oz, I was so psyched because I was a huge Ozzy fan. And I saw his very first tour, probably was at the amphitheater. And I don't know if the place was even 3/4 full. But I was like, man, I hope people get this is Ozzy. And of course, the next album came out, and then the solo career took off. And he's always surrounded himself with incredible musicians. I mean, he's had unbelievable, and that was actually going to be one of my questions. Who would, and I asked this to both Vince and Joe, who was your favorite guitar player with Ozzy?
A solo or just overall?
So obviously not the Sabbath. Yeah, I mean mine. I'll tell you, mine is Randy, just because I love Randy, and maybe because it was the first couple albums. But he's had some great guitar players. Anybody more favorite? Who would your favorite Ozzy solo guitarist be?
I'll let Vince answer.
Okay, there's 3 bands. Okay, there's Black Sabbath, there's Blizzard of Oz, and then Ozzy solo. So Blizzard of Oz, Randy Rhoads, 100%. Ozzy solo, Zach. I just love Zach. His vibe, the way that, we all know Ozzy's a family guy, and once you're in that whole thing, Zach for the next 40 years is going to be representing Sabbath on stage and keeping it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the guy that it falls to.
Pretty much. If we're going to go that route, if we're going to include Blizzard of Oz as their own entity, and I think you might have to, I'm going to go Jakey Lee as my favorite for Ozzy solo. Zach,
I do love him as well. It's hard.
Yeah.
What I'll say about Zach, and this might be a hot take, I love his playing on No Rest for the Wicked, No More Tears. That album I'm a little 50-50 on. My thing with Zach is I think his playing gets to be a little kind of falls into the same template and same mold. And if you're into it, no, by the way, that's just my personal preference. If Zach style versus Jake's, I prefer Jake's. But what I'll say about Zach is that I cannot disparage him at all. I mean, as you said, he is the Sabbath Ozzy torchbearer now, literally speaking, right? So you got to give him all the credit in the world and the kudos in the world. I mean, this is a guy who, I think Zakk Wylde is probably the living embodiment of somebody who, grew up with those Sabbath records and early Ozzy records, and then became part of that family, and then became an extension. I mean, he is like the living, breathing testament to Sabbath and Ozzy's work, if there ever was one. More so than Jakey Lee, even.
Yeah.
So I give Zach all the props in the world, obviously. But as far as guitar playing goes, Jake's playing in his melodies and his technique on Bark at the Moon and Ultimate Sin. I almost think it doesn't get enough credit. I know those records are very poppy and very accessible sounding, but Jake, Jake had the biggest shoes in the world to fill. And what a job he did filling them. But then, of course, if we aren't including Blizzard of Oz as a separate entity, well, obviously Randy's the all-time man. I mean, just the work on Diary of a Madman, just the song alone. I mean, that's a masterpiece beyond a masterpiece. So, I mean, all the guys I think deserve a shout out. Iommi, obviously, he's the hand of doom forever. He's going to be the king of the riff, of all time. And heck, even shout out Gus G. I wasn't the biggest fan of Scream as a record, even as a kid when it came out. But Gus G, great player, big shoes to fill, and filling Zach's shoes, as far as touring and recording went. So I think all of the axe slingers that Oz played with, Brad Gillis saving the day. We got to hand it to all of these guys for the roles they played, and because Ozzy, it was always Ozzy and the guitar hero, right?
Right.
And I think I'm struggling to think of a case where there was one of these guys where they came in and they didn't deliver. I think that was kind of the MO. Sharon was like, if I'm bringing you in, you gotta,
right.
Put bread on the table, so to speak, right? And creatively speaking, and they all did. They all did, all of them.
Yeah.
And that wasn't supposed to be a downplay for anybody. Obviously,
Like I was a huge Jakey Lee fan, massive.
Oh yeah,
and even a larger fan of Badlands.
Oh yeah, very underrated band, very underrated.
Wow. And it's unfortunate the story behind why it couldn't continue, but oh my God, the music, fantastic. I still play it 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Oh, that first album.
Yeah.
That's as top shelf as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the resume that all those guys had that they came from. And I'm hearing Union, different subject altogether. Union sounds like it might be getting together for that Kiss Vegas thing.
I hope so, man.
I was a huge fan of Union. When you had Krabi on, I'm like, dude, I loved Union. Great band.
I hope that turns into something more than a one-off. I'm not going to hold my breath, but hey, if anyone from Frontiers Records is watching, you got an extra bag of cash to the side. Records, some tour dates. Come on, the guy can dream.
What?
Yeah.
There they are. They'd be the ones to do it, man.
Yeah. There's been some great, super groups that they call them nowadays that, come out and they do their one album. And of course they never tour, which is a shame. They put out some incredible music. Logistically, they can't tour. They're just doing their side projects. But Frontiers is definitely doing their damnedest to keep metal alive. They're putting a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But what you said about Tony, how many kids picked up a golf club for the very first time because of Tiger Woods? How many kids picked up a guitar for the first time because of Tony? And you hear them riffs, you pick up a guitar and you got to go, oh shit.
I mean, if I'm speaking for myself personally, and I'm not the best guitarist, I mean, for me, it was Joe Satriani and Steve Vai as a little kid. And that's the reason I play Ibanez to this day. But I've never been even a fraction as technically proficient as either of those two. However, the one guitarist that I figured, once I figured out 2 or 3 chords that I could emulate and I could utilize into my own songwriting was Tony Iommi. And that was the guy that from, middle school, junior high on, I'm like, oh man, it's 2, 3 chords. They're these big riffs. And every riff, it's like, no riff that anyone writes is going to come close to those. But you could use that template to create your own thing, and that's still the coolest. When I even write, I mean, heck, I was at my one for my original project that I'm working on with a friend. I was at his house yesterday and we were just coming up with some riffs and stuff. And I found myself, just even looking at the way I was fretting the guitar, and I'm like, God, it's all Iommi. Like it all comes down to that formula, man. It does,
Right. Yeah,
just
it's unbelievable. I mean,
power chords.
Look at that. Look at that stable of people. That's just mind-blowing.
And it gets more insane when you look at it, really.
Yeah. And then the layers and the who's played with who and da-da-da. And I have to say, Tom Morello, bravo. Herding all those squirrels, man, was not easy.
Yeah. That's a guy who I don't think slept for about 3 months.
Oh, for sure. If that.
Probably longer.
If not longer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Also, Wakeman, fantastic job, all-day player. Nino Betancourt, unbelievable playing. And I hope a lot of people who don't know who he is now. I've bought his, especially the new one, the new Extreme album's fantastic.
Yeah, I
But,
was late.
wow,
I was late to his party. I'm a big fan of his now because all I knew about Extreme was More Than Words, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Metalhead
Yeah,
ain't gonna like that.
that's just the
And then,
band that he's in. That's not.
yeah,
what
and
he
then
play-
you listen to some of the other stuff that's not AOR and
Yeah,
realize what a great guitar player is. There's so many underrated guitarists out there.
absolutely. I mean, just look. I mean, Steven Tyler walks out. I'm sure everyone shit their pants. He
Lost
sounded
it.
good.
I was really
Lost
surprised to see him there with his. There you are.
So,
Oh, there
so
I
they-
am.
Yeah.
That's Streamline.
Yeah, I know.
shows,
I'm trying to mix it in with the.
Oh,
Sabbath
I thought maybe I know how the beginning of the show went. I
we
thought
were
maybe
there.
you screwed up again.
And opening the show, 12 miles
one
down the road. Yeah.
one thing you mentioned in your review, Joe, and she's one of my absolute favorites, is Lizzie Hale. And you said that you were maybe a little disappointed that she was the only female there, that maybe could have been somebody else like Lita or Joan. And
Sure.
after I read that, I thought, and I love Lizzie, and I thought she killed on Ultimate Sin and Perry Mason.
I
But
agree.
Lita, now that I think about it, how that cool would that have been if she could have been there and maybe did the duet with somebody else to Close Your Eyes Forever? That probably would have been a really cool, little moment there.
So
yeah, but I thought she's been going around doing that with a bunch of vocalists lately, so it'd just be like Ozzy's just another guy. Plus, she's not managed by Sharon anymore, and that's why they
Yeah,
get on.
I know, and I know her and Sharon don't get along, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny.
Well,
People have come. Oh, should have been Nick Cave should have been there. That I'm like, well, what? No. Oh, so they should have. No, it's not like that. It's like all these people who opened for. Why is Billy Corgan there? Because he opened up for him. They've been friends. Like there's like history. People don't get the. It's not a. Lollapalooza or they have people who aren't in it don't get it. You know what I mean? So it's still kind of funny.
Well, then explain to me, both of you guys, educate me. I never heard of Youngblood before. Why was he there? And yes, he did changes. He did it phenomenal. He's got a great voice, but what was his reasoning for being there? It just seemed like an odd.
The context I could best give to that, because I'm in your boat, Fred, and I would be the age. I mean, Youngblood and I are roughly the same age, and I would probably be in the age or maybe on the older end of like his key demographic. He's not a metal singer. And he's not even a rock singer. I mean, he's a pop singer. Yeah. The best way I could describe Youngblood from what I've gathered, at least as an outsider looking in, by my own admission. So if any Youngblood fans are watching this, they know, oh, you're wrong. Well, please correct me, because I'm not claiming to be.
Oh, they'll let you know.
They'll let me know. But what I've gathered is at the moment, when you look at the charts and when you look at the top 40 radio for the people who still do, Youngblood is like the biggest pop star as of right now. What Chapel Roan was last summer on Spotify and TikTok and the charts is what Youngblood is this summer. And apparently it just so happens that, because who isn't, Youngblood is a huge Sabbath and Ozzy fan, even though musically he has no resemblance whatsoever to that style. Apparently, from what I could gather, calls were made. He showed up. He was one of the surprises. And for as big as he is here in England, he's an arena name now.
I know the background. I know the background of what goes on with them. So he appeared on a podcast with Kelly and Sharon. And they're like, oh my God, this guy has the same personality as Dad / Ozzy. They were like blown away that he was the same fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
So once they met him, they're like, you've got to meet Dad. And they became like Ozzy kind of like took him as like the unofficial adopted kid in the family. And that cross that Ozzy's worn for 40 years, he gave that to Youngblood at the last show.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So it's not just some random thing. Like, it was literally Ozzy thinks that he's going to live on through this guy, but through the personality of being who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and Youngblood, the name, I mean, who knows, after this, he may turn metal. You don't know. And that might be the hugest draw ever. Or maybe he goes out with Sabbath.
That would have been cool to hear him do a metal song
or
instead of changes.
who knows? But
I mean, he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
Oh, he
and
did.
So then, literally, he had a cross made for Ozzy that cost like it millions of dollars.
Right.
It was like a $5 million like custom whatever. Who know, So there's obviously a lot going on there. Some people, the rumors and the the yellow journalism said it might be a kid from an affair or whatever, but that's just to sell newspapers and advertise.
Yeah,
It's clickbait. He's just embracing a guy he sees as full of life, crazy, and people don't understand him, and that was Ozzy.
Right.
So why wouldn't he support him?
Yeah, and even if that is a genre, as like pop, who knows, right? But what I'll tell you is, being there with Youngblood's performance, a guy that I wasn't the most familiar with, in a song that changes, that admittedly, being the Sabbath fan that I am, was never the biggest fan of changes. Even as a little kid, it was a little too mopey and soft kind of for me. And
the song you go to take a pee on when and it's a party.
Yeah.
That's the song you take a leak. Okay, I'll do that.
I never held it in my heart the way I hold, like a Sabbath Bloody Sabbath or a Snowblind, right?
Sure.
But he came out and he did changes, and what I'll say is, I want to say by the second chorus, the whole stadium is singing the chorus, and just the charisma that he's giving off. It was as if I see the hair. It's like the hairs were standing up my arms, and I said to myself, in the midst of it happening, I said, okay, so this is the Freddie at Live Aid moment. This is the George Michael at Concert for Freddie moment.
Right.
This is the moment that will never happen at any show in America or ever in my life ever again.
It's the moment that makes someone a superstar.
Right. So I better just lose myself in that moment. And as I'm sure now, Friday the single got released properly. I think it's already getting airplay on the pop channels, because that's his top 40. Right. So I mean, wow. I mean, if that could potentially turn even one kid onto Black Sabbath,
millions,
mission accomplished.
Oh, totally. And more power to him. I mean, shit. Like I said, I think this whole thing has proved that heavy metal's viable, also in America and all the other places that they turn their back on. And hard rock definitely has a place because it makes money. And you guys now who are promoting and used to filling up stadiums with all the people who are dying, we got tons of bands waiting and ready and, battle hardened. Let's go. So no problem, filling the stages. And I think maybe that opened up a lot of eyes.
Yeah. Sure.
Business, we all know, of course, but
right.
As far as the business goes, it's a viable thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're preaching to the choir, obviously. Yeah. And I think, when I think of the bigger metal and hard rock bands right now, whether it's Ghost or Gojira or the Sleep Token band, which whatever, I'll hold my tongue, but all these bands who are in the rock and metal umbrella, we'll say, right, who are big, who are doing arenas and bigger names, I don't care for most of them, but when I look at their success, what that says to me is, well, if someone wanted to, or if people with pockets wanted to, there is, as you said, an outlet for this. There is an outlet if we're going to shout out young bands or underground bands or bands that could reach that level if with the right push and the right hands and whatnot. Wings of Steel, High Spirits, shoot, I don't know, they've been around for long enough now, but even Enforcer from Sweden, right? That there are outlets for these. Eclipse, these bands, Heat, I could go on and on. There is an outlet for bands like that to achieve those mega levels of when you think of the 80s, when Ozzy was doing stadiums and Maiden's doing stadiums and Triumph is doing stadiums. And, that could happen again. And, it wouldn't appeal to the mainstream. You're right, it wouldn't, but it would appeal to a whole demographic that in America, I'm not going to say is completely untapped. Yeah, you have your Danny Wimmer mega festivals, and there are those, but you could capitalize even on that. There's a whole I think there's a whole industry and a whole market waiting to be tapped. And I agree with you that I think one of the functions of this show was to prove that it is still viable and it is still there, and that there is still, there's life,
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that Ozzy did it makes it taste even sweeter.
It does.
That's your sweet leaf right there.
Yeah, smoke it if you got it.
Holy crap. How weird is it that Ozzy passes away while we're talking about his final show? That still blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, what a shocker.
Yeah. I guess since I have it next to me, I'll show it off right now.
Oh, right on.
This is the band.
Kick ass.
Awesome.
I'm keeping that forever.
And did you go to the museum as well?
We did. We went to the art museum the next day and we saw the exhibit. It was packed. I mean, it was just packed, and we saw, all the platinum records. Which, I mean, that in and of itself, and that was just of the solo years, by the way, I should add. There was nothing Sabbath in the exhibit. Well, I take that back. There was one painting that someone had done of Sabbath that I think is going to be auctioned for charity in a couple months. But as far as the Ozzy exhibit was just for Ozzy. And, I mean, just wow. It's like you're looking and you're like, even the albums that people don't hold in the highest regard, or maybe gloss over, I should say, from like, the early 2000s or whatnot, like Black Rain or whatever. You look at those records and you're like, God, even those albums went gold. Like even those sold like 500,000, 1 million copies in America. Like,
oh yeah,
that's nuts. And then you see the No More Tears plaque, and there's just like 10 platinum records, and you're like, the enormity of the success of this guy, first with Sabbath, and then as a solo act, on his own, or however you want to interpret it, sans Sabbath, right? And then to go back to Sabbath and make that the venture that he did as a touring act with Ozfest and whatnot, and then that I was lucky enough to see Sabbath, even sans Bill Ward, as sad as it was, but to see Sabbath as a little kid when 13 came out in the early 2010s, and to see those tours, and that I should add too, big shout out to Bill Ward, that what made this all the more important wasn't just, we're going to see Ozzy one last time.
Right.
It's we're going to see these 4 guys. And I said, by the way, and now it's going to feel
put your shirt on, you look like Gollum.
During Iron Man, I'm like, at this point, I'm kind of delirious because I'm basically no sleep and I'm surviving on like lukewarm cups of water that security was handing out in glucose tablets because I'm diabetic. So it's like, that's what I'm basically surviving off of. And during Iron Man, I look and I see shirtless Bill Ward. And I look at Catherine and I'm like, is Bill Ward not wearing a shirt like the old days? And she's like, I guess. Like, we're both like delirious right now. I'm like, that's the most metal shit I've ever seen.
And he's going out like he came in. Fuck yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But the fact that, I said leading up to this show that when you think of all the giants of English classic rock, the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, Floyd, Zeppelin, Queen, etc., Sabbath was the only band left of their era that had all of the original guys. Yeah. And were able to do a show like this.
Right.
And now they'll never be able to do it again. Literally.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
I didn't think it was going to be that soon.
Right.
But
during the week of the show, I went down a rabbit hole and I started watching all these Geezer Butler interviews. Mm-hmm. And first of all, that dude is hilarious. Like after watching 2 interviews, I'm like, oh my God, I need to hang out with him for like one dinner. He's such like a good, like you can tell why him and Ozzy got in a lot of trouble just from his laugh. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And hey, a shout out to the Osborne family, to the Black Sabbath camp, to Zach, to all the players that played with Ozzy. Our respects are with you.
Yeah.
That's just insane. Wow. And as always, people, don't do coke in the bathroom. That's the rule. So, okay, Joe, let's tell people where we can find you.
Sure. I run Defenders of the Faith heavy metal webzine. You can find us at www Defenders of the Faith Metal.com. We started in 2020, as you can see, right before COVID ended the world and civilization as we know it. But it ended up being probably the best thing that happened in a backhanded way, because I was able to use that downtime to grow this outlet into a manner that I never in a million years could have foreseen. And just getting to interview guys that, the way I've worded it to Fred and others in the past, guys who existed to me through posters on my wall and VH1 classic music videos. And the next thing I know, they're on my computer screen like you are right now. And in your head, you have to keep that, oh, don't Wayne's World right now, man. Like, whatever you do, hold it together. I mean,
I'll tell people right to their face I'm geeking out on them. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what was another real freaky one. It's not going to beat this Ozzy thing, but man, it's close. Was I interviewed Paul Di'Anno last summer? 2-3 weeks before he passed.
Really?
And he was. I'll just be straight up and say it right now. Not that anyone could tell, because it was a text interview, or I transcribe all my interviews. But he was not in a good state.
Right.
Like, he was pretty ill, and was not feeling well. And he made that very clear. He was like, "Oh, let's get on with it. I feel like shit." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Yes, Mr. Di'Anno, we're almost done." And I was just trying to get it. And then, like 2-3 weeks later, he dies.
Yeah.
But as a result, I think, I could be wrong, but I think my interview, if it wasn't the last he did, it was one of the last.
Yeah.
So when Rolling Stone and all those outlets did their obituaries, they were linking that interview as like the last one that came out.
Right.
And
I've always wanted to go viral, and is this the one that's going to do it? Like, we just happened to be on when Ozzy died. That's not necessarily the way I want it to happen. You know what I mean? If it did, I'm just saying,
sure.
Oh my God. Because you never know what's going to hit.
Yeah, no, you do never know. And let me put it this way. What are the chances of another metal or rock podcast or show talking about Sabbath beforehand that was live as the news dropped? I don't know, man.
Oh, totally. And, Blabbermouth, if you're going to quote from our podcast like you do frequently, just mention it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I'll throw you a nice little pat on the back. Your Defenders of the Faith. You can also find him on Facebook. You review your albums, and I got to tell you, he's a very talented writer. I get such a kick out of reading your reviews. You throw a little dry humor in there. Very talented, because I was writing album reviews, and sometimes I'd read his, and I go, "Why am I even bothering?" I mean, yours, I think, were just fantastic. So, and I think I told you that last time I saw you, because we run into each other at concerts here and there. Yes. And I told Joe, he's a very talented writer. You really are.
Well, thank you, Fred. Coming from you, that's very, it means a lot. It really does. And it's funny because, the whole origin of this webzine, my mom said to me growing up, in high school and into college, all you do is listen to metal and write. Why don't you combine the two? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I should. and I kind of held off for a little while because I wanted to do it properly. I didn't want to just be like a blog spot post here or there. I was like, I want to make this like a proper outlet. And with the right determination and focus, and like I said, that COVID downtime, I was able to make that a reality. And I'm really proud of what I've accomplished. There have been times, I'll be brutally honest with, if there's any fans who are watching right now, times where I've been like, oh man, like, I don't want to say throw in the towel, but kind of feeling it just due to other life pressures, because it's not my 9 to 5, it's passion. But then I'll hear, stories from you, Fred, or like people will hit me up from around the world. Oh, your site is, when people say to me, you're the only metal outlet that I read, I'm like, oh, well, geez, well, shit, now I can't stop.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. Like, one time I was randomly in Chicago, standing on a corner, I heard tunage. I didn't know where it came from. That's,
Yeah.
And then, a couple months ago, I was just really burned out, because now we're doing I do like 45 pieces of content a week. That's a lot. Plus I have 2 jobs that, and plus whatever. So sometimes it gets to be,
Sure.
Because, I do all the technical shit, every single thing, and I'm not complaining. But, like, I was sitting at a stoplight, and pondering, should I cut back? Should, we do more interviews and not reactions, or that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, and I'm at the stoplight. I look up after I hear the car in front of me beep their horn, and it's two like mid-20s guys both giving me the horns up. I'm like, that's all I needed.
That's all you needed, yeah.
And the funny thing is, I mean, you guys have the podcast. I don't even, I'm a behind the scenes guy because I have the website. I just type, but man, clearly words gotten around and people put a name to a face. Because I mean, it was like, it happens at metal shows all the time, but it was like my dad and I went to go see Peter Frampton a couple months ago at Chicago Theater, and someone outside Chicago Theater, Defenders of the Faith. And I'm like, oh my God. My dad's like, that guy? I've never seen him in my life. No clue.
Right.
But cool, clearly words gotten around. So,
Yeah.
to all the people, if I could take a minute to just thank everybody.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth over the last 5 years. It blows me away that, the reception that I've gotten. I couldn't be more humble and thankful. And thank you to you two guys, by the way, for inviting me on to do this show. I feel like it's not going to be the last now after this.
Oh no, you're hooked in now.
You're
dude.
locked in you're locked in the family now.
Screwed.
Yeah, I'm like in the coven now. This is crazy.
Oh, you're a regular now, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
thank
And
you.
I know when I was writing reviews for Metal Temple, which I've really, really cut back on, but they would send me 4 albums to review. And if 3 of them I didn't like, especially if they gave me, like I call it the Cookie Monster rock, that
Yeah,
I just
definitely.
can't write a positive review on that because I don't
Sure.
like the music. So I hated writing negative reviews. So I just told them last year, I said, from now on, I'm just going to freelance it and I'm going to handpick the albums I want. And I give just about everybody 9 or 10 because I'm picking albums. And it's much more fun to write about an album that you really enjoy than trying to find something good out of an album. It's like, all right.
Yeah,
like,
that's why we don't shit talk any music. If we don't like it, we're just not going to cover it because that could be someone's fucking favorite band of all time. I'm not going to shit all over it.
Whenever I try to get a guest on for an interview, I always tell them the guest is going to have a fun time.
Yeah.
We always, especially Vince. Vince is a great interviewer. He doesn't ask the same questions they've heard 1,000 times. I can't tell you how many times we've had a band on to talk about their new album, and we've been talking to them for an hour, and then we're like ready to say goodbye, and they go, "Don't you even want to talk about the album?" Oh shit, we forgot because we got talking about everything but right. And then we better talk about the
album. I tell them, look, if they're a fan of yours, they know your album's out, and they've seen 15 other fucking interviews of you saying the same shit. So tell me about your grandma.
We'll get them talking about all.
Literally, that's what I did to Carmine Apiece.
Oh, that was a fantastic story. Yeah.
We got a fucking Beatles story that was never heard. We've got, what's his name who wrote Russ Ballard. He told us the story that he was the guy who hooked the Beatles up with the tailor who got the Beatles suits done. Like, we got all these cool stories that you would never hear because you asked them a stupid, quirky question.
Yeah.
That, because there's nothing more embarrassing when you're watching someone interview someone and they have no clue.
Right.
And like, here's my notes for today. Like, it's all freeform, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, but, holy crap. And I don't understand why these people interviewing, dude, take an hour. Go on YouTube, watch a couple of like, it's not rocket science, but have some respect for the legend that is sitting across from you.
Right.
And I've said to my mom, I think the best, I don't know about you, Vince, but I think as an interviewer, I think the best response you could get from one of these artists is when you ask a question and they start answering it, and then they say either this or something along the lines of this. They'll say, oh, wow, I don't think I've ever told this story before. Or, oh, I don't think I've talked about this one. And then they'll just unwind and you just let them tell the story.
Yeah.
And that's the best feeling in the world.
That's the gold.
Yeah, it is.
Like, oh, no one's ever asked me that. Oh, wow, you really do your research. Or, oh, you really know your shit. Why would you ask me about that obscure jazz guy?
Yeah.
Right.
I mentioned it once in 1974 off the cuff in this interview. Shit like that. But,
well, that happened just on our last interview last week. We had Matt Bissonette from, everything, Elton John, David Lee Roth. And we kept giving him, questions because we did our research. And he even said it. He goes, "Man, you guys did your research." He goes, "You're my best friends," because we asked him a bunch of stuff that he probably never been asked before, and it was fun.
Yeah. I think the funniest one off the top of my head recently, or within the last year, I interviewed Udo from Accept, of course. I've interviewed him twice now. And the second time, in between the first and the second time, I found an interview that he did from 1982 or 3. And they asked him what his favorite album was. And he said 1999 from Prince. And I asked Udo last year, I said, this interview in this magazine, Circus or whatever, you said your favorite album of all time was 1999 by Prince. Is that still the case? And he said, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And he just plays metal. Yeah.
That's where he fits in. Like I listen to jazz all the time in the car.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. But I cover heavy metal, and was I a metalhead? Absolutely. Am I one? Yes. But but I like all kinds of. Fred's more,
Well, I'm
pinpointed.
Yeah. But you met my wife the other day at the Tramp show, Mike Tramp, at Mark Veer's house.
Yeah,
and my wife loves
that.
my wife loves all kinds of music, but she loves metal. So she comes to all the metal shows with me, but she likes Bruno Mars and country, and that's what makes that's why there's a million genres. It's not just one genre. I just happen to be, tunnel vision with metal, but Vince is trying to get me into blues. Say maybe someday.
Uh-huh.
2 words, Rory Gallagher.
Oh, unbelievable.
Another great. Yeah, I remember Rory. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And so you do wear many hats. You're a reviewer, obviously, and you're also in a band. Tell us about that. A Rush tribute band called Dreamline.
Yeah, so about a year ago, there it is. There's our logo. About a year ago, some dudes I've seen around at shows at the Arcada wrote me into joining the Rush tribute band. And I was pretty skeptical at first because besides Sabbath and the Beatles, Rush are like my other all-time favorite band. And I was like, man, I don't know if I feel morally right doing this. I'm like, what if these guys can't play? But then I thought, oh wait, what if they can play and I suck and I'm a terrible singer? So it was going both ways, but one thing led to another. We gelled, we started rehearsing, and as you know, we played a pretty big show this past April at the Chicago Loop Sports Bar in whatever. Oh my God, the guy's going to kill me because we're playing there again in October. Whatever suburbs next door to Bartlett. They all kind of blur for this city boy right here. But it was a great show. We packed the place. But the next confirmed show, we're going to be playing Saturday, September 20th at Cruisin's in Gilbert's, Illinois, kind of northwest up near Algonquin area. It is our bassist Greg's 21st birthday, and by that I mean 21 times 3 and change. So buy him all the alcohol and let's just party. It's a free show. You've got no excuses. It's a Saturday night. It's going to be a wild party, and we've already got, I think, on the event page, the event page went live yesterday. Without us knowing. And I think we've already got 50 people who marked that they're going or interested to this thing. So for that to happen in a day, and we've got 2 months to push this show. Yeah, it's we're expecting to hit max capacity. And if you want to hear the music of Rush and just have a fun time and party and, because there's another band you'll never see again now, right?
Right. So, Fred, just so you know, Gilbert's where they're playing. You go up to Arlington Heights where Scotty bartends, and then you take a left for a half hour.
Half hour, right. Okay. But that's September 20th. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is my 50th high school reunion that night, so I will not be able to make it. But I'll get you for sure next time you're in the area, and we'll travel. I'll expense it to Vince. He'll pay for my cab fare.
Yeah, last month we made $12.
Well, here's my Rush story, Joe. I was probably 17 or 18, so we're going back 50 some years. And there used to be a ice rink in Westmont called Michael Kirby, and they had concerts there. My buddy calls me up on a Friday night and he goes, "Hey, you want to go see Canned Heat?" And I don't like Canned Heat. I know you guys remember who Canned Heat is. Vince,
Walter Trout just sent me a message.
Okay, well, I wasn't a Canned Heat fan, but my buddy was. So I said, "Yeah, what the hell? I'll go." $5 tickets, right? So we go. Rush opened for him.
Great.
And I had never heard of Rush. This was before Neil Peart. I found out later. I thought Neil Peart was there. I went out and bought the album the next day, the debut album. and fell in love with Rush, and I've been a fan ever since. But I got to see him at a Michael Kirby ice rink with probably 75 other people.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I got them right over my shoulder back there. I've had that poster above my bed since like I was 12, dude. So
that's
more
funny.
than
So the poster with Gene and Paul, I had that on my wall for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, such a goofy shot, but I love those guys as well. I love Kiss.
Oh yeah, I love Kiss. Yeah, we've done we've broken down Kiss their entire discography song by song. With makeup is part 1 and without makeup is part 2. So we've done that with Queensryche, Judas Priest, Whitesnake.
I love Kiss.
Ozzy, Ronnie James Dio. So yeah, it's fun stuff. But
I've seen 6 of their final shows.
Yeah,
this is the last one, I swear. And then 2 years later, I go, wait, one more. I go,
yeah.
And I get suckered in every time because I got to see
people are like, oh, is Ozzy really retired? I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, if you dude, they're at, I'm just blown away. First of all, props to Judas Priest for releasing War Pigs the Friday before the show. Fantastic job. Huge expense to do what they did. And it was the last official act of
Tipton.
Glenn Tipton being a member of Judas Priest before he retired. So I thought that was a really cool thing because Glenn also has Parkinson's.
Right.
And I thought, he's always been a classy guy, at least publicly.
Sure.
We don't know, but he's always been a classy guy. And I thought Judas Priest as a whole, classy organization, and they couldn't have done a better job.
Yeah. Funny, circling back to what you just said of and as out of whack as it is, I could almost understand the sentiment, because Sabbath were, and again, as someone who's there, were so good and so heavy and so crushing, and just the look on their faces. And even Oz from the throne, yes, his body is beaten and torn and worn, and he's strapped in this throne, but he's giving those, he's like, the doom face, as I call it, and he has his hands outstretched. And
we were doing, I saw that, I was like, yeah.
And everyone said, why don't they do another thing? I mean, they sound so great. Look at the power of the 4 of these guys together. And I'm like, well, do you know how much work it took just to get those 4 songs out of those guys? And I should add, not just Oz, Bill Ward, multiple heart attacks, Tony Iommi, prostate cancer, Geezer Butler, long COVID.
Yeah.
These are 4 guys who were practically 80. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the shape that they were in, the fact that they were able, and I'm parroting a post right now, this is not an original thought, but you get the idea. The fact that they were able to get on stage for those 4 songs, it wasn't just like, oh, wow, that's cool, or that's crazy, or that's something else. That was a miracle that those 4 got on that stage and were able to play those 4 songs. It's something no one could ever take away.
No.
Yeah, and I love that, like, from when I had watched it, they cut it off early before he got the cake. So the last thing you see, and the last thing you see is Ozzy going, turn the fucking down. And I was like, oh my God, what an Ozzy way to get out. So I was laughing because I flubbed the opening of today's show. Now it could not be any more perfect. And there was a reason why the great Oz was fucking with us and wishing us well.
Right.
And giving us one final horns up. Long live Ozzy Osbourne. Metal Joe Miller, thank you for coming on, man. We'll have you again soon. Metalhead Fred, of course.
Thank you. Great show. Thanks again, Joe. And I know our paths will cross at a concert, but like Vince said, you're part of the family now. You're welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to chit chat, or, we may go, hey man, you available this day? We need someone to pop on, so
sure.
we'd love to have you on. Your audience is ours is yours. And we just hit 1 million views on our channel about a month ago, so we're stoked about that. And we love talking about music. We love heavy metal. Today's Monday Metal. And the godfathers of rock, or heavy metal, that started as the great Black Sabbath. And of course, the dark priest of it all was Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. And may he forever Rock in peace.
Yep.